So I decided to stream today because it has been a long time since I don't do it. Has been a long time since I don't do it. I'm stuck right now at a part on the project to make some library work on Heroku. Let me see if I can show the screen. So pretty much there's a package that is not working. It is working, but the path doesn't work, and I can't figure out how to make the path work. It works locally, but it doesn't work when you deploy to Heroku because locally I have to specify the specific path path to the thing. But in Heroku I can't do that. So and there isn't a lot of information about it online, so it's kind of hard. So if I can't figure out how to solve this package, I'm not gonna use it. I think I'm gonna rebuild the backend in another project without this package and then delete the one that I have and move the new one to the previous one. Just so I can have all the functionality to authenticate users. And because this package, the point of it is to integrate Google information, geographical information, which I think it might be useful in the future, but is not necessary right now. And because at low on time, it's better to prioritize the other stuff first. So after this is kind of the thing that I'm is bothering me, yeah, because I have to move on past that so I can focus on the other stuff. And I think after that, I'm gonna update users, focus on that part, and then I already have the logging and register page and the navbar, and then I'm gonna focus on I'm gonna build the update users page, which is gonna be on the settings, and then after that, I'm gonna focus on trying to figure out how to integrate the data from the blockchain with Django, which I might research today as well on how to connect, how to connect the data using Web3 to pass through the Postgres SQL database that I'm gonna be using. And I was stuck for a long time in the navbar, building the navbar because I was trying to do something that is similar to Stripe by following a tutorial, and then I tried multiple different approaches, using components and doing manually, and then I decided to go with the simple one, which is just to do manually. Maybe I can show you. Because the other ones were taking too much time, and they were it felt like it was overcomplicating the stuff. I think it's better if I can work on it. I wanna have at least everything working before I start thinking about improving things. And that's the thing. It's not that big of a deal, I think, if the navbar is not. Obviously, it's better if it is works on a intelligent way, let's say. But it's better. But then, what's the point of having a fancy navbar if you don't have the functionality of the site? So the main thing is having the functionality of the site working. The main priority. I think I have the link of the deployed version. Maybe I can find it here. Because I already deployed the site and now I'm just doing the updates as I go. But maybe, yeah, but the thing that is holding me back is this authentication stuff. That's the problem. I'm stuck on this GDAO geos library point because it's kind of necessary, but maybe it's better actually to start already working on the other stuff. Because even if I think yeah, I feel like the most important part is to focus on actually the data and displaying the data because that's the point of the whole thing. So if that's not there, then it's pointless to have the site, and then all the other stuff comes later. So maybe I should be focusing on integrating the data from the blockchain now into the thing. But it kind of annoys me and is on the back of my mind all the time that I kind of have to do to get the other thing done. I'm trying to find the link here of the site, but there's a lot of bookmarks on the. Oh, I think I remember. I think I saved a link somewhere. Yeah. I'm not logged in. Or maybe if I open Twitter, I think. Also created a Twitter page for the thing. It's kind of weird because I understand what they are telling us to do. They're pretty much over the last workshops. They told us to create pages and post stuff about the thing, which makes sense. But I just don't. I just don't know if I'm gonna make this into a project or not. I don't know how it's gonna be. So it's kind of weird to start posting stuff, even though I'm not really sure if it's gonna be. But I guess it makes sense. I should probably be posting. It's just that I'm not used to posting stuff on Twitter, and I think I don't really like that to be on social media and to post stuff, that kind of a thing. But maybe I should be, and it feels kind of pointless to post some of the stuff because they told us that even if we make small changes, you should post it on Twitter to gain traction and pretty much post as frequently as you can to gain engagement. But it doesn't make a lot of sense to me to post something like finishing the profile or setting up the database. I think that makes a lot of sense if you already have something that is working. That's the thing. So that people can click the site and do something. And because what's the point of gaining a bunch of engagement if you don't have anyone? If you don't have anything useful you can do on the site. So that's kind of why I'm holding back to doing that now. But I think once I have something, I should probably start posting on Twitter often. But then it's kind of I don't know where I'm gonna take this or if I'm gonna try to turn it into a business or not. I'm not really sure about that. Especially because I have no idea what kind of information I'm gonna be able to get and display here. I think that's the thing. So maybe I should be focusing on that actually and leave the authentication stuff for later. And this feels like it's going to be the hardest part, which is to connect the data from Web3 with the database and then find ways to display that data here. Another roadblock that I'm going to have is that the storage is around 500 gigabytes or more for the blockchain data, and you can't really host that without paying a fee. So I'm gonna have to find creative ways to display the data without having to use all the storage, which I think is gonna be hard. I'm thinking about the last time that I thought about this, I thought about the I thought that the best strategy is probably gonna be to make the full site locally for me so I can use it, because I want to build something that I want to use, and then make the deployment version a simplification of that doesn't require all the data. And then if people are interested and it starts gaining engagement or popularity, then with the money that I gain by that, then I can, because it's not that expensive to host, so I can reinvest that money and host, and then we'll already have the full website with all the data in case I want to do that. And it might be worth it to investigate RPC methods as well, where you don't need to store the data. It's more like, but then the issue with that's gonna be slow, because if you're gonna query the blockchain in real time, I think it's gonna be very slow. It's not practical. If you want to get a bunch of information about the blockchain, not just recent events. And then having your own node is the same thing, because you still need the storage anyway. Because when you synchronize with the full node archive, you're still getting the data in your computer. Yeah, but this is what I have right now. It's really simple, and then you can click on the profile. But the thing here is that it doesn't work because of the backend, because of the GEOS and GDAO stuff that is not integrated. So the backend doesn't work. And then the navbar is just this, which is really simple. And then I was gonna put some stuff here below these ones, but I have no idea what I'm gonna do, so I don't think it makes sense to put more information here. I was thinking about changing these simulations to DAX, so I can have DAX information, but yeah. So I think what I'm gonna do for now is practice touch typing. I was typing somewhat fast, but I reached the ceiling of 150 or 140 at the fastest, my record. And then because I wasn't using all the fingers, and I want to go past that, try to go past that. So I think the only way to do that is if you touch type, which is using all the fingers. And there's a, maybe I can, there's a picture that's really helpful, which is this one. So now I've been trying to go back and start slow again and focus on accuracy. Because what I realized after learning how to type from the beginning is that accuracy is a lot more important than speed, especially initially, because you're trying to get the patterns right. And as when you increase the speed, what matters more is the patterns, because usually you stop thinking about the words that you're typing because it's already automatic, and every mistake you make slows you down a lot. So it's a lot more important to be really accurate than fast, especially in the beginning. So that's something I've been doing as well, just practicing this stuff. And it's really fun, but it's also something that helps because the better you become at programming, not if you're beginning, but if you know how to do something, then I think it does make a difference if you can type fast. And that's also something about the using Vim and other stuff, is that this not, I feel like for most people it probably doesn't make any difference, but for someone like me, I think if you want to be, you're always thinking about being the best, so which is extremely competitive, then every thing counts, I think. So I think that's what I'm gonna do now. And then I think I'm gonna set 1 hour for this. And then I'll see how I feel after that. And Depending on that, I might work off stream on the GDAO Geos stuff, or I might work on stream on the other stuff, on how to integrate the chain, the data from the chain to the stuff, to the website. Another issue with that, with doing that on stream, is that I can't really show the. I think it might be dangerous if I show the data from the backend, especially if I'm gonna turn this into a site later on, because I'm not really sure if people can do anything about it. I don't think so, but it's probably better to be cautious than to be sorry later on. I think I'm gonna listen to a podcast, Joe Rogan podcast, on the background as I train this stuff. I'm not gonna put it on stream. I think I got a warning from Twitch, I think, so I I probably won't be able to play music anymore. Which is unfortunate, but understandable. I was being able to get away with it because obviously I'm small streamer, so it's not. I thought they wouldn't really care, but I think they use algorithms to find out. Oh, I think I need to restart the browser because I cleaned the history. I just discovered the site as well. It's really good. But this one is more for typing fast. And I don't want to do that right now because it's gonna mess up my learning progress. It's quite hard to erase the patterns I've learned before and relearn everything from scratch. And it feels very awkward to hit space with the thumb with this new rate of typing. But I can tell that I'm gonna be a lot faster once I memorize everything. Once it's natural. I also thought about reading the Ethereum white paper as I type. Maybe I should do that. I copied the first page of the yellow paper into Monkey Type. And you did feel that I was able to read it and type at the same time and understand what's talking about because I'm not typing really fast. So let me type the way that let me try to type the way that I was typing before. Let's see if I still remember. It's all messed up now, my memory. Because now I'm so used to typing the other way that I don't remember what it's like to go back. I think I'm just gonna stick with the new way. It's probably better. Not mess up the new connections in my mind. so slow. Go back to monkey type. I'm starting to memorize the patterns on this way of typing. It was a lot slower when I started. I think it was 40 words per minute. I'm still very slow now, but can feel like I'm improving. Another thing about this keyboard is that sometimes the keys get stuck, which messes me up. Space is one of the keys that gets stuck. And I think that's why I started typing the other way in the beginning. But touch typing is clearly better. I think the other way is good if you don't care about being really fast, but if you want to reach 200 words per minute, then it's probably only possible if you're using all the fingers. And I'm not sure if I'm even gonna be able to ever do that, because I think just like everything else, where at some point genetics play a part, and 200 words per minute might be that threshold. I think people that have thin fingers are able to type faster usually, and I think my fingers are not quite that thing. Some bots, I think. On the Bennett. What's the name of this shit? I can only imagine how bots are gonna become as AI improves. But I think bots protection is probably also, hopefully, also gonna improve. But I think it's already getting to the point where it's kind of uh, becoming really hard to capture bots with CAPTCHA. Oh, that's my record for this type of typing. Nice. It's kind of addictive as well. It's like a game. But I can tell when I try to type faster, my previous patterns kick in, and then I type with the wrong thumbs, the wrong fingers, which is not good. I think I'm gonna go slower and try to focus on accuracy rather than speed. Another thing that I figure that's not that I figure out, but that I experience is that this way of typing makes me tired faster because I have to use more of the wrist, I think. The other way was moving the hand more. This way it feels like by moving the fingers, it's kind of harder. But I think that's something you build up over time, probably. Just like working out. It's pretty much the same thing. Fuck. The whole crypto is doing to the. Oh, damn. Hmm. Right. Just a few more. I'm really tired of doing this. It feels like I've reached limits, but I think it's just a temporary one. I remember having these limits with the previous type of uh, way that I was typing as I got faster. So I think it's normal. I think I'm gonna research stuff about getting the data and transforming into Django, into Postgres. Also have to think about which ways I'm gonna organize this data. So I should probably start that. So maybe I try to create this page here first and make it the home page. I have to decide which one I'm gonna make the homepage, but I think working on the front end is not a problem to do it on stream. It's more of a problem with the backend stuff. The thing is, I'm probably gonna have to work on the backend as well. Oh, that's the thing that the reason why I was delaying this, I think, is because I'm gonna have in Django you create the backend and then you use start project to start the project and then you create the backend. I don't know what's happening here. But then you do startup command to start the application, and then each application you can build as far as I understand, you can build multiple applications, and each one is going to be attached to the backend, which is the central part of the project, I think. And then I created this account to handle the user authentication. And then I was thinking about creating another app to handle the information on the blockchain. So maybe if data I can make. I think I'm gonna have to close this because it bugged. So let me think about what I'm gonna do. So as far as I understand, Django has the source code of Django does the translation from Python to the database models. I think I'm gonna have to do this off stream actually. At least the initial setup. Because I have to see. Maybe creating the models is not that big of a deal. You can research Web3 for an hour and then study the Web3 library. And that's the other thing. I'm gonna have to use Python, I think, to get the data. But I think I'm gonna use a similar code to this one. The only difference is gonna be instead of writing stuff through the CSV, I write it to the database using Django models. And that's probably how you do it. And then the main question I have is how I'm gonna update that based on a period of it. Because ideally you would be updating the database constantly with new information. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna read this stuff here for 1 hour and then work on this off stream. I remember now the thing, and I didn't close this. You can differentiate an account address from a wallet address, I think, from a simple address. But then I also have to think where I'm gonna put this code. I think probably on the back end makes more sense. But I don't know if it's gonna mess up the other stuff. If I put it here, maybe I should do another folder outside, back end and front end. Maybe that might be better, probably. The other complicated part about this is that when you're deploying to Heroku, you have to specify the backend file. So because of that, the path might be more complicated if I decide to build it outside of these folders here. And then I probably will need to use a different virtual environment as well. So I think I'm gonna create a folder here inside of the backend for all the logic that I'm gonna use. So maybe I could do that now. So how can I name that? I think I'll be right back. I'm gonna think about how can I name this as well. So maybe I put data logic as the name. Can always change it later. And then inside of this I can put Ethereum or ETH. I think I'm gonna search for an extension to change the format of the stuff. It annoys me a lot. I don't think that solution works. I'll look for an extension that does that, I think. It's file, preference. Another thing that I discovered is that by default Next.js gets information from you, and then you have to manually turn it off. And this is the same thing, obviously. And the reason why is because they want to get your data, obviously. File preferences, settings, and disable Explorer. You just search for compact folders. Okay. Oh, much better. Nice. So now let me think. What do I need here? I think I just copy this stuff here. I'm gonna have to add this stuff in the environment variables as well. That's another problem because I'm using, maybe I do need two different virtual environments, but I think that's gonna complicate things too much. Because I'm using Django.env for the other one to get the environment variables. So maybe I should use .env for both of them. Maybe I should name each file, or I should create each folder based on the category there. So one for Whale Wallet, so another for MV, miners, NFT data. I think MEV is gonna be the hardest one by far, I think. The other ones are probably straightforward to get information, but I'm not sure. Gonna put, I'm gonna create the folders, probably better than creating all files here. Yeah, the thing that annoys me is that when these things start to get big, then it starts to get annoying because so many folders and files. It's kind of hard to navigate, but I don't think there's any other way around that. Also, I have to remember that I'm on the main branch now. Maybe I should delete the other ones and create a new one for this after I do the folders. I think I'm gonna close this. Miners, NFT, where is it? Now I'm thinking about that I should also have a folder or a file outside of this that is the one that gets all the information. I think eventually I'm gonna build my own node and then I'm probably gonna have put the information here as well. So because I already have 9 million blocks here and a bunch of transactions as well. So I was thinking about using these transactions as a way. Yeah, look at the size of this. The transactions are much bigger. And I'm halfway through, I think. It's only gonna get bigger and bigger. Let me think. because I think it's a lot more efficient if I get all the information and then search from that information on each specific thing. Yeah, that's gonna be very complicated actually. Maybe not actually. I need to create something that updates all of the scripts in some time frame and then leave that running simultaneously as the other stuff from the backend runs. And then as those things update, then another script that updates the database based on those files. But actually it has to be the same thing. That's the problem. Because I need to update directly on the database, I think. And that's the hard part. Oh, that's another thing. Maybe I'll have to create smart contracts as well and interact with the blockchain instead of just using the libraries. And then that's a problem because yeah, I won't be able to use hard hat, I think, because otherwise then it gets in the front end. I think I'm gonna work on this off stream, to be honest. Just the initial stage. Maybe I come back later today and keep working on this. I'm debating in my head whether or not I do I try to figure out the authentication stuff first, the GEOs and GDAO, just so I have that in check. Because I think it's better to build different Git branches in case I mess something up. I can go back to the previous one. But then I want to make sure that the first part works, the authentication. I think that's the biggest problem. I think is the deployment, because if I start building this stuff and then it can get a lot more complicated with the deployment, then I'm not gonna know where the it's not that I'm not gonna know, but it's gonna be a lot harder to find where the mistakes are coming from, where the bugs are coming from. But if I take care of the authentication first and then I make sure that it works, at least I have the baseline that I can keep going back to before I start building the other stuff. And this part is gonna be really hard. I can tell already. Even this initial thinking of how it's gonna be, it's probably gonna be a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. Also think I'm gonna have to study more about Django. I was watching this series here as I was building the authentication part. Because I'm gonna have to understand, I think, at least a little bit of the source code to understand how the information is being translated into Postgres models, and it's very complex. It's very simple when you're coding because you're using all this under the hood stuff, the source code. But I think actually understanding how the source code works is going to be very difficult. And I'm probably going to have to understand that so I can create the models. But maybe not. Maybe. Because for each model in Django, you create a class and then you create the fields of the models in the model page, and then you use that on the views. It's not that hard. It's very simple actually once you understand it to code this stuff, but it's hard to think about how to structure things. And yeah, I should probably break the problem down and start with the whale wallets first, because otherwise it's gonna be too much information in my mind. But then I also have to decide if I'm gonna do it like this or if I'm gonna. Oh, actually, what am I doing? Yeah, I should delete all of this. I just realized I should create the startup first. Instead of doing this, the file should just start another app and then call data logic or if data, which is going to be a lot better. And then I create the files inside of that, the folders. And that's what I'm going to do. So I think I'm going to stop here. I'm going to think about this and then I might come back today or yeah, I'm not sure how much time it's going to take me to finish the authentication part. But once I'm done with that and once I have the setup, I think, for the other project, and then I'm gonna start coding the script to get the data and to transform into Django. Also, I have to watch the videos on Django, I think. Because that's the thing that I'm having the most difficulty with is understanding how I'm gonna get the data from the blockchain and then pass into the models directly. I think it has to be asynchronous to some degree, but then how do I keep the flow of information going? That's the biggest challenge. Yeah, so I'm gonna stop here. I might come back today, probably not. And if I don't, then it might take me another week to figure this stuff out. But eventually, when I come back, I'm gonna hopefully build the scripts to get the data on string. So see you then.